Hello, my menopause bestie. How are you doing? Welcome to part 2 of the menopause weight gain and my personal biohacks for better body composition. I hope you listened to part 1. Like, all we had time for was nutrition. So in this episode, we're going to talk about exercise and sleep and stress and everything else that I do. If you like that nutrition part, then you surely will want to download the Eating for Longevity cookbook and meal planner. So I'll have a link to that in the show notes because that's pretty much everything I eat. And there's a lot of explanation there on why we eat certain things for longevity, but it's also going to help you with your menopause symptoms as well, for sure. So go and listen to that first episode if you haven't listened to it, because that was crucial. I talked a lot about my personal situation that is going to apply to this session as well. You may be a little lost. So go and listen to that one first. I'll have a link to that one in the show notes too. So I'm also going to talk in this episode about a pillar of longevity and a biohack that no one else talks about. It's going to be at the end. So you're going to listen to the end. And don't forget to look out for my biohacking body composition online masterclass. I know I've got to get this. I got to get this out, and I will do it because I'll take a deep dive into everything. So now I'm going to be talking about the things that I do. There's so many other things that I don't do that also work. So look out for that masterclass and coming soon. And then join me in the Biohacking Menopause membership group if you just want more personal attention and guidance. Okay, it's just super easy. I'll have a link to that group at the bottom as well in the show notes. So today, let's start with exercise and movement, whatever you want to call it, because it's just movement. My personal goal is to build muscle strength and power. Okay, we talked about this in the part 1, and your personal goal may be something else. Okay, I know that as I age, I need to get strong, and I want to talk a little bit about muscle hypertrophy versus strength versus power. These are all different things. Muscle hypertrophy, that's meaning you're increasing the muscle size. But we can have two different things with muscle, or both, or one or the other, and that's strength and power. And so strength is being strong, right, at slow speed. So it's just basically your ability to exert force to overcome resistance. In English, that means like lifting your groceries or lifting a barbell off the rack. Okay. Power is the strength that includes speed. Okay. It's the force that you can generate in a short period of time. So lifting your groceries quickly, that's power. Lifting the barbell over your head quickly, that's power. And power is the key for aging and longevity. We need the power. It fades more quickly with age than with strength. Okay, than strength does. So it's a little bit easier to keep strength as we age. It's much harder to keep the power. So, and you'll need this, for example, when you fall and you don't want to have a fracture. So you need a little bit of power to save you. And we can't imagine ourselves as a 70 or 80-year-old, but if we're lucky, we'll get there. Okay. So you need to focus on these things now. At least I need to focus on. This is my goal. Sorry, this is all about the things that I do. I'm not telling you what to do. The other thing that is important to me is independence. I want to keep doing the things that I want to do, even when I'm in my 80s and 90s. And I don't want to have to depend on people or devices or machines to help me get there and do them. So I need to work on this power as well. And in my experience, just yoga every day or running every day, if like that's the only thing you do, it just doesn't meet this goals of mine. So if that's what you do and you brings you to your goal and it makes you happy, keep doing it. Prove me wrong. That's your goal. So my fitness, when I think about the things that I did in terms of exercise and movement in my 20s and 30s, it was very different than when I was in my 40s and now my 50s. I'm now 54. And this may change, probably will, as I enter my 60s and 70s, and then it may change again when I'm in my 80s and 90s. You have to keep adjusting. This is called resilience. We got to manage with the things that we have as we age. And so another reminder is that I'm going to share with you my routine, which may or may not work for you. Okay. I'm not preaching you and telling you what to do. I'm just sharing what I do. So, like personal biohacks. And the way that we move and the way that we train and the things that you choose to do always depends on your age, your genetics, your capabilities, injuries, surgeries, illnesses, your energy levels, your menopause symptoms, what you're feeling, your motivations, your lifestyle, your environment, the job that you have, your personal preferences. So many things will dictate how you're going to move and how you're going to train. And so what I do is, and I generally recommend to my community, my women who need a little bit of advice, a lot of the things that I recommend come from Dr. Stacy Sims. I did her course, Menopause for Athletes, learned so much. And an athlete is anyone who does planned exercise. So if you walk in every day because it's their plan, that's your little exercise for the day, you are an athlete. Okay. We're not talking about professionals. So the 3 pillars of training that are essential for power. Okay. This is again, my goal is power. We need to lift heavy things. And this is going to maximize your strength. It's going to help you maintain your muscle mass, and it's going to boost the metabolism. Heavy lifting. That means you got to get a trainer to show you how to lift heavy weights. Okay. It's not getting the 5-pound or 4-pound or 2-pound dumbbells and then just doing 15 or 30 of these. We need to lift so heavy that it's like you can only do somewhere between 5 and 8 reps. And then on the last couple of them, it's just impossible. You're making sex sounds. Ugh, in the gym. Everyone's looking at you. It's embarrassing. That's lifting heavy to try to activate that power. The other thing that we recommend is plyometrics. And that means training your muscles to detonate on demand explosively. So think about an explosive action, okay, like a box jump, or getting a medicine ball and throwing that over your head on a wall, or jump roping, skipping, burpees, tuck jumps, jumping lunges, these kinds of things. These are key to prevention of osteopenia and osteoporosis. So get your plyometrics in as well. And then the third pillar for power is sprint interval training. And all these things are really important for so many other things, not just power, but I want to always get in applying that strength to the speed. Okay, that's the HIIT training. Okay, it's not chronic cardio. You're not running on a treadmill for 30 minutes or an hour. This is HIIT training where it's about 45 minutes and you are exhausted. And there's about 45 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Sometimes it's 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off. That's sprint interval training. But I also like to do Tabata training. And Tabata is probably about a 20-minute max because that's all out. It's so exhausting. And I'm going to explain a little bit. I'll tell you what that is now. So Tabata would be, the way I do it is I do it on a bike, and I get on a bike and I go full force, 100% power and speed that I can do for 10 seconds. That's all I can do is 10 seconds. And then you rest for 10 seconds. Sometimes it's 20 seconds and 20 seconds. Sometimes it's 10 and then 20. Do what you want to do, but it's getting that out. And you can only do like 8 rounds of those. And then you rest for several minutes, and then you could repeat it again if you feel like it. But honestly, it's all you need is like 1 or 2 rounds. So what I would add to this as a gerontologist is that we need as well mobility, agility, and flexibility. So I love the power, I love the strength, that's all great, but I also want to be able to be agile. If I fall down, don't want to break my back. If I can play tennis, or if I can keep doing yoga or things like that, then that's getting that flexibility, agility, mobility. And that also helps with prevention. And the next thing I like to do, which is the most important for me in terms of exercise and movement, is play. I love to play. And could be a hobby. It's helpful to get social. Some people like tennis or pickleball, badminton, frisbee, these kinds of things. And then the last thing to do is rest and recover. Okay. That's my plan. So what do I really do? Okay. So first of all, I'm not perfect, and I don't think anybody should be perfect. I think then things go wrong. But I'm going to tell you where I'm not perfect in the moments that I'm not perfect. But if you go back to part one, you heard my story on osteoarthritis. Okay, and you're up to speed with that. So I am reversing this or dealing with it or hacking it or working my way around it, sort of in the middle of it now. Okay. So back in 2022 is when I stopped doing impact exercises. So I'm going to tell you my plan for body composition pre 2022 and then post 2022, what I do now. Okay. And actually, to be honest, body composition has not changed because I hack it. So before 2022, move daily. And I still do. Okay. I move because I like moving. My body just wants to move. I'm one of those people. It's not because I need good body composition or I want good body composition. It's just the way my brain and body work. And the objective is usually when I'm moving is that strength, power, and muscle to have fun and be independent and all that. Okay. When I train in a gym, because I'm doing strength training or some rehab, I don't really like it. That doesn't bring me joy, but I do it because I'm dealing with some injury or the osteoarthritis, or I want to perform better in my dance or whatever else that I'm doing. So 2 days a week, I'm doing some kind of strength or rehab, even back in 2022, because I do this with a trainer because I've had a torn ACL. That's the anterior cruciate ligament on my knee since 1994. So the thing that's been saving me, I never did surgery, and I've done everything that I wanted to do. I've done tennis and side to side movement and racquetball and skiing and everything. So I've been able to do it because I do the rehab, right? So if I want to play, I got to do the rehab, which is good for me anyways. And I'm glad I've been doing it. So usually just about 2 days of that. Then I did 2 days of cardio. Dance is my love. I love dance classes. I would do the bike or a spinning class. I do HIIT classes, like those body pump things. I love the classes because I'm social. I love meeting people and I love talking to people. And the energy you get when you're in a dance class or you're in a group class is so different than if I do this on my own or even with a personal trainer. As I'm a nomad, I do a lot of YouTube videos. I do like the yoga with Cassandra. I do like the strength training with, what's her name? Caroline Gervais. She's really popular. She's got like 3 million YouTube subscribers. You can find her so easily. She's got great workouts. Can remember, I'll put links to those people in the show notes. Super easy to YouTube things. And there's also plenty of apps. I don't use them so often, but there are a lot of apps out there too. And then one day, so if I do 2 and 2, that's 2 days of strength, 2 days of cardio, 2 days of yoga or mobility, let's say. I have then one extra day, and I would do something fun, something different, something. I love to bike ride anywhere between 1 and 3 hours. I would go through the mountains if I have access to that. And then I go do that. I love that. Or maybe I try a new sport, a new activity, do something. I just do something different. I love trying new things. The other things I was doing, I was also doing my postprandial power walk for 30 minutes. Means after dinner, go outside for a walk, whether it's raining or whether it's sunny, or I just love doing that. I feel so good after I eat dinner and go out for a little bit of digestion, see the sun going down. Even if I'm walking in the dark, I just like doing that. And I would do that 4 to 7 times a week. Okay. So plyometrics was definitely in my regimen. Plyometrics meaning you do some box jumps, or maybe 10 box jumps or 10 burpees. And I would do that before my workout usually, or after, somehow incorporate it into the workouts I'm doing, because that takes 2 minutes to do. I never did like a full session, like only plyometrics, but very often in my rehab classes, it's kind of included, but plyometrics is there. And then, of course, play. I love dancing. As I mentioned that. So I see grass. I do cartwheels. I love paddle boarding, paddle tennis, surfing, rock climbing, dragon boat. If you're a person who's ever lived in Hong Kong, you know what that is. I loved obstacle courses, just trying new things. That's my play. And always testing my body, seeing how far it can go. And then the last component that I've told you in this sort of order of things is rest and recovery. And that I've been really bad about. I pretty much lived with DOMS, that's delayed onset muscle soreness. I just pushed through it just because it didn't bother me that much. And I was having too much fun. I really enjoy all these activities. So I think that was a little bit something I neglected, and I am working on it. But what I would use to recover quickly was a flex beam. That's the red light therapy. I've been using it for a couple of years now. Absolutely loved it. So I did a whole podcast on red light therapy. And then I also did ice bathing. I've gotten into that probably around 2018. And cold therapy. This is all helps with really quick recovery. So I was hacking it, but maybe I needed to rest a little bit more. So now at post 2022, so this is what I've been doing in the last 2 years and how I've been preserving my body composition without all that crazy exercise. So I still move daily just because I can't sit still. That's again part of my thing. And I'm shooting to move less. I know it sounds really weird, but this is part of my hack, testing things out. Maybe the osteoarthritis needs to just settle down. So I'm shooting to get under 10,000 steps a day, which is really hard. If I can do 5, I'm really happy. And again, this is just a temporary experiment, hopefully. And it's really hard for me. I still do cardio. I do it once or twice a week, and I do it in the form of a bike ride. Usually, if I can get access to a bike, because again, as a nomad, you don't always have access to these things. And it's anywhere between 15 and 45 minutes. Okay. Or sometimes I do a sauna. That's an exercise mimetic, gets the heart rate up, and it's for times that you cannot exercise. And it's amazing. So when I have access to that, I'll do it every day, but I usually don't. So I could maybe get in a sauna lately, maybe once a week or once every couple of weeks. But if you have access to that, it's awesome. And for the strength and the power, I can't really do that other than just the rehab exercises. But honestly, it's nothing. It's a fraction of what I used to do. So I maintain the muscle mass with Katsu bands. Those are blood flow restriction bands. You've seen me with them on. I can't stop talking about them because they've saved my body. I've been using it since March last year, so over a year, and it's unbelievable. I measure my body composition, I measure the muscle mass, and when I use them, it works. But I don't, then the muscle mass goes down. And so I use them every single day. It's because I can't exercise like I used to. So it's nice to have the Katsu bands. Now, I use them 1 or 2 times. So the way I use them, I do the upper body and then I do the lower body. But because they have armbands and leg bands, I should probably, there is a podcast on Katsu bands. So I'll include that one in the show notes. And I have a discount code for that. And I'm trying to get them into the Biohacking Menopause, our membership group, to give us a heavy discount because they're quite expensive, worth every single penny. I'm trying to get them to become sponsors of the podcast. I just, I believe in them so much. So the other things I do for strength and power a little bit, I do once or twice a week, I'll do an upper body workout on a YouTube video, mostly with Caroline Gervais. And I just love those videos. And I use them with my Katsu bands, sometimes without. And again, I'll have links to that as well. And for the mobility, flexibility, agility, I use the roller every day. I massage balls. I mean, anyone who deals with kind of muscle soreness or deals with osteoarthritis knows what I'm talking about. I'll do YouTube videos for the glutes and hips. I have my trainer as well. I really regret stopping the deep stretching exercises. I used to do every day about 10 minutes with the plyometrics, incorporate that into my daily activities. And the same thing for the deep stretching. I could do the splits easily. And I would always work on it, always do it until one day my trainer says, stop doing that for your osteoarthritis, not a good thing. So I stopped. And of course, what happens, then I get less and less and less and less range of motion. So I kind of regret that. So now I'm working on doing a bit more of that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just sharing what I do. But so every day I'm trying to stretch a little bit. Every day I do stretch like the normal small bits that you're supposed to do when you're doing rehab. But that deep stretching, I really miss it. In terms of play, I do none. And that really makes me sad. I need more play in my life because that's what brings me joy. And so I'm working on that. That's when I get my range of motion back and deal with this, then I will be back playing. And then the rest part, I am working really hard on that and resting strong. I got that from Julie Angel. We did a great podcast because she has a PhD in parkour. It's pretty amazing. And she talks about resting strong. So I work really hard on resting. That's why I said trying to do less than 5,000, less than 10,000 steps to give my body a rest. I still use the Flex Beam. I've got a discount code on that as well. I do the cold therapy still as well whenever I can. I don't always have access to an ice bath, but I would jump into the cold sea. Now it's not so cold anymore, but you can listen to an episode I did with Kristen Weitzel on cold therapy and how to do it, even just using your shower. And again, here in Spain, where I am now, lately, it's not quite cold enough, but I still do it. And then the sauna and the sauna use, again, that's helps with the rest and recovery. And I've got a great podcast I did on sauna use and menopause symptoms. So you can go, I'll put that link in the episode too. What else do I do? In terms of the biohacking stuff, I love to get biofeedback, and I love these sort of fitness trackers to optimize my workout and to motivate me, although I don't need much motivation, but I have fun seeing the impact that certain exercises have on my body. So I have an Oura ring, which is this little ring here. This is a computer, it's a device. You can see how your heart rate is going, your recovery, your stress levels, your sleep. It's so easy to where I wish Oura was sponsoring podcasters, but they don't do that at all. But I have a discount code, a link they give anyone who buys an Oura ring gets like these links that they can pass out. I think it's like $50 or $30 or something. So if you want one, either get in touch with me or find somebody who's got an Oura ring and ask them to get that code. I use an Apple Watch, which I have here. I don't have a Garmin, but those would work too. Body composition scales. I use the Omron. Again, it doesn't really matter. None of these devices are accurate. It's just looking at trends. Okay. And so you'll see like muscle will go up and down, but you'll see it's trending hopefully up. Same thing for the body fat. You want to see it trending down based on whatever it is that you're doing. And I love those CGM monitors, the continuous glucose monitors. It's those little quarter-sized circle thing you put on the back of your arm, and it measures the interstitial fluid so it can give you an idea of your blood glucose levels, how much sugar is in your blood, and as see it rise and see it fall in reaction to exercise or food or stress. So all these devices are really fun, great information to give you, especially if you're into the biohacking thing, but don't get obsessed with them. Okay. We're looking at trends, not, having it make or break your day. So the moment it gets obsessive, you got to put them away, put the toys away, and then get on with your life. Now let's move on to what if you're too tired to train? Okay. So this is not my problem, but I thought I should tell you anyways. I've got so much energy, don't know what to do with it. And I teach how to get more energy with I have the Menopause Energy Reboot program. You can download that for all the details and guide you and all the things that I do, as well as other things that other people do to get your energy back. It could be connected with your thyroid, which if you're having that unexpected weight gain, could be your hormones, could be your estrogen, it could be your thyroid. Okay, it's all connected. So check your thyroid, check your estrogen, your progesterone, your testosterone. Really important for building muscle as well as motivating you. If you are still cycling, you'll see in the middle of your cycle, you have a little bump of more testosterone during the day 14, more or less, of your cycle. That's when you're feeling more motivated. And that's a good time to have growth hormone to build muscle. So get into the gym or whatever it is that you like to do on the mid-cycle if you're still cycling. Your fatigue could be also related to some nutrient deficiencies like B12 or iron. I take a deep dive that in the program. Maybe you're just not sleeping well. You're dealing with night sweats, racing mind, maybe you're waking up to pee, and that's not going to make you have more energy. You're going to wake up tired and you're going to like, how am I even supposed to go and exercise? So then let's take care of the sleep. What do I do? Well, actually, before I tell you what I do, I want to tell you how sleep is related to your menopause weight gain or how it's related to your body composition. So when we're sleep deprived, it can make us more insulin resistant. That means the foods that we eat or the stress that we have, we're not able to pump out the insulin like we used to and pull out the blood sugar from the bloodstream, right? We cannot eat the same things that we used to eat. So we got to be more mindful of certain foods, okay? And that when we're more insulin resistant, then we become more metabolically inflexible. What is metabolic flexibility? That means that your body just can switch from burning glucose and fat, can switch easily, okay? So you got better energy, more endurance, and you're not just a fat burner or just a glucose burner. We want to be able to use both sources. And when you have insulin resistance and you have this metabolic inflexibility, well, you tend to gain more weight. So we got to fix the sleep. If you have poor sleep, you have dysregulated appetite hormones. What does that mean? You have these couple of hormones called ghrelin, which is like the hunger hormone, which is the hunger hormone. You have leptin, which is the satiety hormone. When you have a poor night's sleep, ghrelin goes up, leptin goes down, and you wake up and you don't feel like eating a veggie stir fry with eggs. You want sugar and caffeine, right? So this is why we got to sleep, so that we're making better food choices, so that we have more energy to do some workouts or training or whatever it is that you want to do. And the other thing that's important with sleep is we have growth hormone released while we're sleeping. And it's happening usually the first couple of hours of falling asleep. Athletes need more sleep. Maybe you've heard of that, because we need to build and repair. If you've had an exercise session, you got to repair and build. And if you're not sleeping, you're depriving yourself of that. So that's what do I do for sleep? I'm a total sleep Nazi. Like, sleep is such a priority. And it wasn't before. I was one of those people like, so much to do, I'll sleep when I die. And then when I saw the research on what happens when you're sleep deprived, I was like, oh boy, I better get my sleep. And I'm really happy with my sleep. I have to say, I cannot complain. It's not perfect. Sometimes I do wake up, but I don't stress about it. And I'm able to still recover and hack it and have plenty of energy. So I'm a nomad. Remember, I sleep everywhere and anywhere, on planes, trains, and automobiles. I sleep in Airbnbs and hotels, hard pillows, soft pillows. Of course, I have my preferences and things, but I'm able to do it. And I've got a sleep guide that you can download. And I've got the jet lag hacks on my Instagram, their little highlight there. But I'll have links to those in the show notes. So the most important thing that I do is when I prioritize sleep, I try to get the circadian rhythm set. Circadian rhythm is your natural sleep and wake cycles. If you were on holiday, not having to go to work or not having to do anything, what time do you wake up naturally? What time do you get sleepy and you fall asleep naturally? So in order to set that, okay, so I'm not wired and tired at night and wake up groggy, I go outside before noon. I try to get sunlight in my eyeballs because that sends a signal to the body that it's going to create melatonin at the appropriate time at night. It's going to trigger cortisol, and cortisol is not a bad thing. We want it to be at the appropriate high at the appropriate time and low at the appropriate time. So one way I love to hack this is watch sunrises. Love watching sunrises. It's so worth getting up in the morning. If you happen to be one of these women who are like up at 6 a.m. and can't fall asleep, then go outside. Go watch the sunrise. What a beautiful opportunity. You don't even set an alarm to go and do that. Like I set the alarm to try to go and see a sunrise, unless it's in the winter and it's 8 o'clock at night or something. I mean, 8 o'clock in the morning. So go watch the sunrise. It's such a great way to set your circadian rhythm. And if you're exercising, go and exercise outdoors. It's such a wonderful way to set the circadian rhythm too, unless you're in the snow in the middle of winter and you're going to say that's going to be too hard. So you don't have to do that. But if you can, great. If you can't, do it in the summer. In terms of sleep, I've always been really good with sleep, but back in the fall of last year, I started kicking off the sheets at night. I was getting a little hot. I can't call it like a full-on night sweat, but it was a clear sign of estrogen deficiency. So what do? I increase my estrogen, and as well, I increased my progesterone because my mind was also waking up at night, a racing mind. So now I'm on about 2 milligrams of bioidentical estradiol. I also have estriol, but I've got also 100 milligrams of bioidentical progesterone. And I take that on days 14 to 25 of my cycle, because I'm still cycling. And because if I keep going on with my progesterone, I don't have a bleed. It's like, just keep going. So I need to shed. So I have to stop at around day 25, sometimes 26 or 27. I'm not perfect. And that really helps with the sleep. And if there are weeks that I'm like really stressed, then I know how to self-titrate, and I may increase my progesterone. I may make 200 milligrams instead of 100, just to help feel more calm and more relaxed, just until this difficult period in my life is passing. It's the beauty of knowing how to handle your hormones. I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, pretty solid. 11 p.m. is usually my sleep time. And I usually have a good sleep hygiene routine. So I would say I would use my sleep stack lately is like the Flex Beam. I love using a Flex Beam at night. Some people think it energizes them. So if you're one of those, don't do that. It's the red light therapy device. It's warm. It makes a little humming sound. I fall asleep usually during the session, or I find it really hard to stay awake, but at the same time, I'm doing a meditation or listening to an audiobook or doing some breath work. That's like my best way to wind down, to fall asleep in 2 seconds. But lately, I have to be honest, I am up working on my computer or my phone, uploading videos or something, and I'm in those days, I use, actually, I should put them on now, my Viva Rays. These are blue blocking glasses, and I have different, there's like three in one, like the light one, it's already 9 p.m. here, so it's a little bit too late for the yellow one. So I have the orange ones, and then you have red ones, which I hardly use. But anyways, so you can use blue blocking glasses. I've got on my telephone, you can put it in night mode. On my computer, I have this app called Iris. There's another one called iFlux, and then that just puts the screen so dark. And so I am not getting this blue light into my eyeballs, because when you have the blue light, that's when your brain goes, bing, it's still daytime, and I'm not going to create melatonin yet. So it'll take me a long time to fall asleep. So I use these little hacks to help me fall asleep and get really good sleep. My telephone sleeps in the bathroom. I have, when I'm with my husband, if he's snoring, he doesn't snore every night, I've got these little earbuds. I should have had all this stuff prepared to show you on the YouTube video, but I'll have to put them in the show notes, these links, so you can see what these are. But quietons are these little noise blocking earbuds. It's not, there's no EMFs. It doesn't create sound. It just bounces off the snores. So you don't hear them, or they're very, very distant that you can fall asleep on. And I travel with these all the time. Totally wished, I mean, I asked them to be a sponsor of the podcast, and I can't believe they said no. Like, they're so stupid, but I still love these things and I talk about them. So I have a code, and I'll have that in the show notes as well if you want to get those on. And I sleep probably I go to sleep probably around 2 to 3 hours after dinner. I never eat dinner and then like fall asleep again, because my dinners are usually not small, but not huge. They're just, it's enough that I need some time to digest. And I stopped the postprandial walks, the after dinner walks, because I found out that I was waking up in the night because my blood sugar was going down too much. So I was leaving too much time. And so if I am training hard and I still want to leave, don't want to have a dinner and then fall asleep, I found out that I needed about a couple of tablespoons of lentils is what worked best for me to keep me sleeping all through the night. That was an experiment I did with this continuous glucose monitor. Some people like fats, some people like proteins. I needed the lentils work the best for me, but everyone's a little bit different. But lately, for supplements, for sleep, okay, I always take spermidine, which is spermidine. I have a discount code for that. That's just kind of one of those. I never stop those, but I may add it if I feel like I need more sleep. I either play around with my progesterone, or I may add magnesium. I love the Bioptimizers one. There's like 7 different magnesiums in there. I've got a discount code for that. We did a great podcast on magnesium, the differences with all of them. I'll hopefully remember to put a link to that episode there. And then I may stack magnesium with glycine. And yeah, if I feel like I have more stress or I'm not sleeping for some, even if I'm having like a streak of sleep that's not really great, then I may bring those in. But I don't usually add supplements to sleep. I just don't need them. And now lately, I'm trying to see if I get my better scores on my Oura Ring if I disconnect the Wi-Fi, unplug the TV, or if I move plugs to the other side of the room. So far, I don't see any difference in my Oura scores. I feel the same, but it's an experiment you can try if you want. And that's it. So if you're having trouble sleeping, go download either the Menopause Energy Reboot or the Hot Flash Masterclass. And we talk a lot about sleep there. That one's only $19. I talk a lot about a lot of other things like a chili pad and hormone therapy. But because I don't do that, it's not part of my program, I'm not talking about it today. Okay. So let's talk about stress and how important that is, because stress, you may think of cortisol. Yeah, cortisol is one of the stress hormones, and there's a response. It's released in response to stress. We have this thing called the HPA axis. That's the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, and that's like a communication system from the brain all the way to the adrenals, and it creates these hormones. There's 3 organs involved. I mean, there's a lot more, but 3 general ones. And it's just a neuroendocrine system response. Okay. And it's really, really important to manage the stress. And that's going on in the body. And so the system here, it creates this feedback loop of hormones to regulate your body's reaction to stress. Okay. So it controls hormones. It releases certain hormones when we're in really stressful situations, and then the body responds by, say, increasing our heart rate or sweating and stuff like that. So imagine a stressful event that's happening. I mean, you almost get hit by a car. Okay, so your HPA axis is activated. The sympathetic nervous system goes into full force, and that's your fight and flight system. Your hypothalamus, okay, that's why the H in the HPA stands for. It sends chemicals. It's these little chemical messengers, which are hormones, to the pituitary gland, and the pituitary gland releases hormones into the bloodstream, and those go on over to the adrenal glands, which are these little glands sitting on top of your kidneys. So yeah, it's going from the brain all the way down. And it asks the body and it asks the adrenals, please make some cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline, and other stress hormones now so that we can deal with this. Because what those hormones do, it brings more blood to the muscles so that you can run out of the way if you're getting hit by a car. It increases the amount of glucose in the bloodstream. It increases your blood pressure. All this stuff increases the dilation of the pupils so that you can be more focused, attentive. It's really good that we have this stress response. It's not a bad thing, but it can go wrong. There's another part to the HPA axis, and it's called the negative feedback loop. And it happens when cortisol is too high for too long, because this feedback loop should just stop when the stressful event is over. That's how it works. But it's the overproduction of cortisol and the stress hormones that love to hang on to body fat. Okay, it'll accumulate it in the body, especially around the abdomen. Okay, when we have this high cortisol response, it turns off the digestion, it turns off your libido. It's not a time to eat and digest. It's not a time to make babies. It's time to run. It activates inflammation and oxidation, and then, of course, a whole other, bunch of health problems. So we really, don't want to demonize cortisol, but we want it under control. So what do I do for my stress lately? And this is all related to body composition. Don't forget, because we don't want to hold on to this body fat. So I journal 20 minutes a day. Some days I forget. I'm not perfect. I've had a streak for, I don't know, it's probably been a week now since I haven't journaled, so I got to go back. But then I'll be on it for another great streak for a week or two. And then I start, just it's the way it is. Because sometimes you're journaling so much, you're like, I kind of got it all out and I'm really happy now. And you just don't feel that need. So that's okay too. I meditate, and I am totally into the Dr. Joe Dispense Meditations now. I've been meditating every day, almost every day for the last 6 years, but usually between 10 and 15 minutes. Okay. It's like I tick it off. I tick the box. I've done it. And I do feel I like the routine. However, the Joe Dispenza meditations, those are 45 minutes. Like, been doing 45 minutes, and I notice a big difference. And I don't know if it's because of the length of time. I don't know if it's because of the things he says. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but it's pretty impactful. And I did his whole online program, so I understand the process. I have to warn anyone who just goes and YouTube's Dr. Joe Dispenza Meditations. It's got this freaky voice, and you're like going, what in the world? I don't understand. So it's important to understand his method. And there's a reason why he says the things he says and the way he says it. So really into his work now. So the meditation has been really, really impactful on my stress. I've seen it. Breath work as well is something I do all the time. Every day I practice functional breathing. I pretty much low and slow breathing through my nose. If you are part of the Biohacking Menopause membership group, you know what this is. I teach it to you every month. You can learn these things. You can go to YouTube. You can use apps like Insight Timer or Oura Ring. If you have one of these rings, they've got a whole bunch of breathwork apps. Just explore breathwork if you like that. That's super important. It lowers cortisol. It lowers the heart rate, increases heart rate variability. I measure this with my ring, and it's unbelievable. It's actually more powerful than the meditation in terms of seeing the markers on my Oura ring. What else do I do? The sauna, that's great for stress. I don't do it every day. Whenever I get access to a sauna, I do that. And it can be an infrared sauna. It can be a traditional Finnish sauna. It doesn't really matter. It helps with the stress. And it's not only mental stress and emotional stress, it's the physical stress. So every day I use the massage roller, ball, things like that. Flex beam, of course, is part of that every day. I see physios when I need, I really feel like I need to remove some pain or open up some space. I used to see a physio probably once a month. Right now, I'm totally looking for somebody new that I can see. I travel around the world and I'm always trying new people, but I can never continue with the process because I leave. So I am definitely going to get back into that more back into it, but it's something I love. Ice bathing, that's great for both physical and mental stress. If you know anything about, if you listen to the podcast we did with Kristen Weitzel, we talk about how ice bathing can shift white fat, which is the stored fat, into brown fat, which is the fat burning fat. Okay. And you don't need to get in the cold for that long. I know it's hard, but you can work on that. It brings blood flow. It lowers inflammation and oxidation. It just makes you feel empowered. You feel really strong. That's really important for mental stress as well. I used to be able to do this once a week because I had access to it. Now I'm just, again, trying to with the showers or maybe jump in the pool or the sea. But lately the weather's just too warm. But so I'm not kind of struggling with that right now. Ashwagandha is another cool hack for stress. It's an adaptogen. You can get this, to obviously talk to your doctor, but you can get it in a pharmacy or iHerb or something. I've got it in Fully Vital. It's a supplement that I use for hair, for having more full and vital hair. And I've got a discount code for that because I got a lot. It's really cool. I like this because Faraz Khan, who created this product, he knows that stress has an impact on the quality of your hair. So of course he puts some stress, busting supplements in there. The other thing that I do is I try to manage my time and prioritize things in my life. It's continuous battle, but that helps a lot with the stress when I get it right. And for me lately, solitude, looking inward. I've been doing a lot of inner work and removing stressful people from my life. That's really, really cool. As I'm pretty much a social butterfly, but I've been really giving attention to myself. And that's just been quite an amazing journey for me. So lots more hacks in the Menopause Energy Reboot program. I'll have links to that. Now we're going to talk about peptides. So what are my thoughts? What are peptides? Weight loss peptides is what I mean. The semaglutides, the GLP-1 agonists, the names like Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy. These are injections. You're injecting your body with a peptide, which is just a long chain amino acid, but it's a medication. You don't need a doctor. You can get these things without a doctor, but you should have a doctor walking you through this. But semaglutide, you may have heard this word before. It's just a class of medications known as glucagon-like peptide 1 receptor agonists, or GLP-1 RAs, let's say. And it mimics the GLP-1 hormone, which is released in the gut in response to eating. So it just basically helps your body make more insulin, reduce the blood sugar. I personally have never taken them, but I thought I should cover it a little bit here for those who are interested in hearing my opinion. I think it's great for a certain population. It's originally made for people with type 2 diabetes. Those are probably the people who need it the most. I've heard between 10 and 15 years of research and practice and use on showing it's safe. I've heard that women on HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and using the semaglutides have a 30% more weight loss than those if you're not on the HRT. Long term, we don't really know. We know short term it should be pretty safe and pretty good, but it's kind of like at your own risk. And biohackers love to take these little risks. It's your body, your experiment. You have to decide what works for you. You have to decide if there are more benefits than risks. And I think if you're really struggling to lose weight and trying to get metabolically healthy and you've tried everything else and you definitely have diabetes, then it could be a really great thing. The pros is that you lose weight really fast. And it's because you're not hungry. It's regulating your appetite. And you can eat all the carbs you want. Like, this is what people I've spoken to, they are loving that. And I have to tell them, be really careful. I know you're having fun. And when I say eating all the carbs, it's demonizing carbs. I'm talking about the processed foods. I'm talking about I don't know, the white breads and the pastas and the I don't know, biscuits and cookies and cakes and sodas and all these things. Okay. We're not talking about vegetables and fruit, okay, which are also carbs. So they're having fun with that. And they're getting all the benefits of weight loss. Like, Who wouldn't like that? It's regulating the insulin. It's reversing people with the diabetes. It's lowering when you lose the weight and you're in a better condition and more metabolically flexible, well, then you're lowering your risk of all these diseases of aging. It's fabulous. Obesity is the number one modifiable risk factor for all the diseases of aging. So let's get that into check. So this can sound like a miracle. But what about the cons? There's some people have side effects, and I've heard it a lot: nausea, vomiting, fatigue, dizziness, headaches. You can offset these by titrating the dosage, maybe taking a little bit smaller of a dosage. Loss of muscle is another big one you may have heard. We can hack that as well if you do it right. People can gain weight, they get it back, and maybe even more. Well, I don't like that, but it happens. And it's because of many reasons. Because I see, this is what I'm seeing, at least within my community, the women who are taking it. I've seen women take it and they're doing great, and they're eating the protein, they're not losing the muscle, they're still training, they're getting the food in, and they are learning a lot about their body and dialing in their diet and lifestyle while they're on this. And so they go off it and done. They're happy. But I also see people just they're forgetting to eat. Like, you're not hungry, so you don't eat. They don't like forcing themselves to eat, especially protein. Like, you got to eat protein like it's your job. It's not fun. And then there's that whole mental thing, like, oh, I'm not eating, I'm not eating, and I'm losing weight. Like, there's a lot of damage that can be done if you don't get enough calories, enough nutrients in your body, enough protein. And if you're not eating and you're not training, you're losing your muscle mass and you're not going to get metabolically fit. Okay. That's where it goes wrong. And so, yeah, I mean, you can hack it. That's why I think if you do it with the right person, I think Karen Martell is one of those people who are got a peptide program and walking people through this. Another problem with these peptides are that there's a shortage for the people who really, really do need it the most. And then there's the other problem is, what if you can't afford it anymore? There's some people's insurance will pay for it, and then they take them off, and then you're dependent on it because you haven't learned how to dial up your diet and lifestyle. So that's a big problem if you can't afford it anymore, because it's expensive. And then you may start getting some of these other side effects. So I think it can really help people maintain when they're do the diet and lifestyle. And if it's not working, you've tried everything, you've tried diet, you've tried lifestyle, you've got the hormones optimized, you're not sure what else to do. It may be something you can look into. It can jumpstart healthy habits again, if you are using them correctly. But honestly, there's something about that rapid weight loss when it took so long to get there that troubles me. And that's, I don't work with women with taking the peptides. I just, the ones I know are friends or people I run into, I just try to tell them these points, like, don't forget, and hopefully they'll learn. But anyways, it's a last resort for me. I think if you've exhausted everything else, nothing else is working. And I don't think it's to lose those 5, 10 pounds, not even 20. I think it's more like the 25 plus stubborn pounds. But honestly, get your guidance from a nutritionist or a fitness expert or health coach. And then there are other people who have contraindications. If you have a history of thyroid cancer or gallbladder disease, pancreatitis, and then there's something called MEN2. It's multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. So those are the people who should probably not be on these things. So let's talk about the pillars for body comp and longevity that no one talks about. We're wrapping up here. I know this has been a long episode. The one that nobody talks about is just to be happy. So think about, if the hormones of stress, like the cortisol, the adrenaline, if this can make us sick and overweight, can the hormones of happiness make us healthy and strong? When you're happy, you're more likely to probably sleep better. If you're sleeping better, you got more energy. If you got more energy, you're going to make better health choices and food choices. You're going to probably just do more healthy behaviors. And you're releasing serotonin dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins, that runner's high. So if you're exercising and you're exercising with music, man, you're bringing all those happy hormones to life. And you're not ruminating, you're not stressing, you're not releasing cortisol and not holding on to that body fat. That body fat can be released. So do what makes you happy. And that you got to know yourself for that. So doing a little bit of inner work, trying to figure out who you are and what you need and what you want, and make sure that you're doing the things that make you happy that also make you healthy. Okay. Don't tell me drinking and eating pie make you happy. Okay. That's very short term. I want you to be watching a sunrise or spending time with friends or just being alone, whatever it is. Do the habits that make you happy that also make you healthy. And the last thing, actually, the last couple of things are community. Okay. No one talks about the importance of community and your tribe. So many times when people interview me, I always talk about the Harvard study of adult development, which was started in 1938. It's one of the longest, still ongoing longitudinal studies on adult development. And it looked at so many markers of people. And the shortcut is that they looked at all the markers, smoking and exercise, diet, and fame and fortune, and what kept people healthier, happier longer was not all those other things. It was community, strong bonds, strong relationships. So work and nurture those relationships. Have your tribe. Super important. And we've got the biohacking menopause tribe to get started if you don't have one, right? And your purpose. Why do you wake up in the morning? What's your ikigai? What is that? Your ikigai is the reason to wake up in the morning. So it's part of knowing yourself too. We won't go too much into it, but what do? I do everything I can to manage my stress and be happy. And really when the mind and the body is not overproducing the cortisol, it's that meaning that it's the cortisol has to be released at the appropriate amounts at the appropriate times. So when it's doing that, it can build and repair. The body can build and repair. Sometimes we need these stressors to grow, like exercise is a stressor to grow muscle, but we don't need too much. It's a Goldilocks zone. And we need the cortisol in the morning to wake us up and keep us alert. And then we need the cortisol to leave the room at night so we can go to bed and make room for melatonin production. So being in this state of balance really creates room for growth, creates new possibilities. And lately, I have been totally looking inward. My husband is on a 1-year walk across Europe. I fly in and out and see him every month, but I've never had this alone time in 30 years. When I'm raising a family, taking care of kids, it's amazing. So midlife is a privilege. My kids personally are grown. They're totally independent. They don't need me, and I don't have older parents to take care of. Both of mine have passed away. So this time is really for me. And so that's been helping me a lot in this department. And I'm surprised how much I'm enjoying my own company. Again, like I told you, social butterfly. I love being around people, but I'm like, no, I want to be with myself. So I now prioritize who I see and when I see them. And I'm also staying grounded. So partly my hips have been grounding me because I'm not able to travel as much as I used to because I'm trying to figure this whole piece out. Staying grounded has been something I really need. Keeping perspective when I get frustrated, I put things in perspective, and patience. I can't play right now. I can't dance. Dance is my joy, but I will find joy in other ways until I bounce back. And my purpose is really clear. I'm here to disrupt menopause and ageist stereotypes and bring you more menopause information. So I need to be in a good condition to walk the talk. And yeah, my purpose is also just to take care of myself first. So let's do a recap on what I do. If you heard episode 1, my body's my temple. I love it. And I treat it with respect. When it comes to nutrition, I don't do diets, but I eat real food, keep the processed food on the low side. I'm not perfect. I focus on protein and fiber, meaning lots of veg. And I just adjust more or less food when I need. When I was training really hard, my body asked for more food. As I'm moving less, my body asks for less food. My plate is about 3/4 plants, 1/4 The last quarter is about proteins and fats. And I like to keep, if you ever go on one of these apps like a chronometer, protein, fats, and carbs are pretty much in balance, like pretty much 30, 30, 30, more or less. When it comes to movement, strength and power, agility, mobility, and play, and rest, I'm working really hard on that component. The sleep and the stress, keep making that a priority as well. I'm on the hormone therapy. I'm happy. I've got my community when I'm grounded, and I certainly know my purpose. And I really want to stress the importance of managing body weight and composition during menopause. It's not vain. It's vital for your future self. It helps with the symptoms of menopause, like hot flashes. It lowers the risk of all diseases of aging and increases our self-confidence. It really helps us feel good in our body. Love it no matter what, even if it feels broken, even if it feels it's a shape you don't like. You've got to love your body. It's gotten you through so much. And when you love your body, it will respond, I'm telling you. So more resources. You can find all the menopause programs. You can find the longevity master plan, the cookbook, and the meal planner, the biohacking menopause group, all in the show notes. Would love to have you as part of the community. And remember that everything that I talked about is for informational purposes only. This is my story. This is what I do for body composition. I brought it all on the table for you to look at. And if you want to try some of these things at your own risk, talk to your doctor first. I'm not telling you what to do. This is just what works for me. And it's constantly changing. Let's do another episode next year and see where I'm at. And I really encourage you to find the biohacker in you. Test, measure, and assess. Go and watch What is Biohacking Menopause video. I'll have that in the show notes too, to understand what it really means to do that. So whatever you do, be patient, be consistent, love your body, and respect your temple. All right. If you like this episode, please share it with your friends or send me some feedback on Twitter or Facebook, Instagram. You can go to the website, subscribe to the podcast, write a review, please. It would be great to have your review on Spotify or Apple so other women can find this. And if you're still struggling, just reach out to me. Find me on social media or my website, hackmyage.com. We can do one-to-one coaching. You can take the free menopause quiz to see where you're at in menopause. You can download a program. You can listen to the over 200 episodes that we have here. Join the biohacking menopause support group. Look out for that biohacking body composition online masterclass too. And honestly, just reach out to me if you have any questions. Thank you so much for getting to the end of this episode. And I look forward to seeing you next time.